All right. PlayStation Repair Augusta. This is take two for the day. Got done not long ago doing a previous video, and that one was a replacement of the married chip. I forget the abbreviate SCEI chip, the Renesas. I still can't say it right. Anyways, replaced that chip and went through the entire repair process and then checked the video afterwards only to find out that I had a mic issue, and that mic issue resulted in no audio. So for fun, because that other one made me quite mad, but to kind of relax and unwind here, just gonna do a light and easy stream video involving HDMI replacements. I actually have two boards that I need to take care of before I shut down for the day. And with that, I'm kind of ranting here just to get some text in, because before we go forward, even though I see I've got audio, I want to check it. But we're going to see how fast I can take these off and get them done. So there'll be limited commentary throughout this process. And this one's a little bit like cheating, because whoever mucked this one up did so well enough that they completely ejected the HDMI insides from it. In fact, you can just, there's a little peephole, so they were able to basically look in to their PlayStation and see what the problem was. And hopefully they realized that the issue was they have no HDMI at all. If they couldn't see that, then it was good for them to bring it to someone that does. Alright, so let's take a look. Alright, I see that the live stream is up, but, and it may just be my ignorance, but that doesn't always show me that it's actually coming through properly on the channel end. So we're going to check this out by actually opening that up. And that way I can see that the video is actually playing live with audio. It's kind of a pain in the butt. I need to just save the page of my channel. Okay, I see it is on the channel as live now. Let's see if we got audio. And we do. We have audio coming through. So I'm going to go ahead and pause that so that it's not throwing out extra sound. Alright, so the way this is going to work is that this is a speed run, so I'm not going to go through all the details. I will kind of talk and give some information as we're going here, but I'm not going to be overly chatty. Otherwise, that'll slow it down and it won't give us an accurate sense of the amount of time it takes. The one thing I will do before I start the clock is that I'm going to go ahead and put my gloves on so that our time is literally just about the process, not any of the little ancillary stuff that goes on. Let's make sure we got everything handy that will be needed for this process. Alright, so we got tweezers, we got flux, soldering iron, and soldering is always where it always is. Everything else can get out of the way. We got Q-tips, we've got, and I just pulled out some HDMIs. So yeah, we had HDMIs, and I actually have two of these to do. We'll do them back to back and see if I can actually get faster or if it gets slower. And like I said, this one's going to be a little bit of a difference because it already has the just so that I don't know if I ever really showed this, but that is authentic Amtex NC559. Now this is V2-TF. TF stands for Tachyflux. V2 is just their version 2 of their formulation, and this was actually manufactured 5/1/2017. It says it expires 5/1/18. It's not expired yet. I used it earlier and it worked perfectly. So those expiration dates are, if you were in a big production environment, you know, that's maybe that matters, but for our purpose, no, it does not. All right, so I've got everything I need here. I'm gonna move this out of the way. We don't want to have the flux next to where the heat is going to be, otherwise we're gonna make problems for ourselves by melting our flux inside its little capsule there. All right, so we are going to, I wonder if there's like a little app I can get that I can put on here for a, let's see if we can download one of those before we get this video really going. Stopwatch app. I'm going to make it fun. We'll actually throw that into the stream. Okay, so, well, I found the online stopwatch.com, but I don't know if that's, it might be more trouble than it's worth. If somebody knows of just like a little, you know, like a little pop-up window that does a stopwatch that doesn't give you all the ads and the BS that this has popping up everywhere. There's a little pop-up that says this website uses cookies to ensure you get the best experience. You mean the best ad experience for you is the website. Look out of the way. Okay. Alright, so question is now is, can we screen grab this? Let's see. Let's go to add new. And I guess that would be a browser capture. Alright, so that pops up. I don't know what the hell good that's doing for us, but I figured I could just get it to grab a screen. So this might be an epic fail, but let's try something else. I mean, it's just like, it's almost like it literally created a window. What good is that? Okay, cancel that. We're deleting this little stupid thing. Alright, let's see. That's display capture. Window capture. Maybe that is it. Aha, that does look like it's it. Alright, so multi-adapter, okay. I guess that's as good as we can get it. And I'm gonna just go ahead and fire it off. And start. Alright, so we are moving here. We're gonna make that as tiny as possible, but still visible. Is it still freaking counting? What the hell? So if the window is not active, it won't count. Okay, well, you'll see it's there. I'm not going to change anything, so it's locked into that one, but it looks like this doesn't do it as an active display if it's in the background, which is so weird. It seems like there'd be a better way to do this. Alright, let's just pause, clear, now start that again, and son of a... Okay, so that works that way. Alright. Learning curves, I'm getting there. So we're going to clear this, and we're going to start it now, and I will go ahead now, and I'm going to tweak my window. Alright, so the clock is rolling on us. It's officially started, and like I said, this isn't going to be about zooming in on everything and showing everything. It's just going to give you the highlights as we speed through it. So what I'm shooting for here is I'm going to try to go for about 15 minutes. I'm sure there's plenty out there that think that I can't. And that's probably about my fastest time. So we'll see if I hit it. And not every time do I. I mean, there's times where just weird things get in the way and slow you down. But we're going to see today if I can make that 15-minute mark. And like I said, this one came from another repair shop where we do the repairs for them. The customer did say that it had been fixed before. Now, whether or not it was fixed by them or fixed by me, can't really tell. This doesn't really look like my style of repair. Nor does it look like the solder that I use. So, thinking it might have been done somewhere else. just going through my different heat cycles, and I'm doing this the way I normally would when I'm not explaining. Basically, just want to kind of slowly ramp up. It doesn't have to be super slow, but we just don't want to thermally shock the board by just pumping in 450 degrees Celsius from the start. I'm going to kind of coast it up there in the beginning, let it get a little warmth through it, and then we can let it saturate. You can see already that solder has melted, but we haven't got the full release yet. And it's almost there. There we go. Now we're going to pull out some solder wick. I'm not going to bother changing tips, but this tip will get the job done. And turning the heat all the way up for my solder tip. Man, that's a pretty looking solder tip. It would be cleaned. So there's a bit of a pivot there. All right. So we're at 4 minutes in. And we're not going to skip steps. We're going to clean. We want it to be fast, but also official. All that ick. You get all that out of there. And there was some previous flux on there, so I think that makes up for the amount of time that it would have taken to get the extra heat down if it had still the pins attached. And we want to flip this back over. Make sure that we're lined up the way we want to be. What was I thinking? I made a video earlier about having flat pads. Now that works for the repair on that Renaissance or whatever it's called chip. Renaissance, something. But these, it works better to have them kind of pre-lubed, so to speak. All right. So again, I just kind of tin a couple of those pins because I want to make it so that they are holding my HDMI where I need it to be. And then I need some controlled heat here, so we want to switch our tips. Well, on the hot air, I want to switch tips, or put a tip on it because I had taken it off. Basically now we're just working these mounting pins. So we get a nice strong bond. Some more solder on there. Bit of flux. We're going to flip it so that we make sure we've got these pins anchored all the way through. And we're at the 8-minute mark, so we're still doing good on time because we are almost there. Soldering these can be such a pain. Like I said, the thermal loss that goes through this ground plane is just massive. And so that we don't knock that off, we're going to go ahead and flip it back. This way it's in the right position. And we'll come back through at it this way with the hot air. All right, that should be a good strong mount. And now, we want to get all of our pins on. Because if we don't mount those, then we didn't finish. All right, and for the sake of time, all right, we're 12 minutes in. We're approaching close to that mark. I was shooting for 15. Alright, let's check it. And I just think my joint could use a little bit of some underheat. And I'm going to call it. So that is done. I'm going to stop the clock and then we're going to test it and see if I got it. So clock officially stopped at 14 minutes and 16 seconds. Let's test it and see if I got it in under 15 minutes. So I'm going to put the multimeter in continuity mode. So if I have any bridges or if I have any loose or failed joints, then I didn't make my time. Basically, it's disqualified. And let's clean this up. And towards the end there, I probably rushed through this a little more than I would. But I didn't skip anything. I did everything as it should be done. I just did it for maximum efficiency. I could have taken my time with a few steps, like the underheating and the mounting of the back pin. Or the mounting pins, doing them on the back side. But other than that, I did everything that I normally do. I can't tell if that just fell there or if that's a bridge. No, that just fell there. See that little solder that just kind of is sneaking around on the board? Yeah, no, all of those joints look solid. Make sure you can see this. Alright, so we're going to try to move them. So solid, 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 no wiggle, no wiggle, no wiggle, no, 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 no. So all of the joints are solidly bonded, but crap. I may see that looks like a solder bridge, and I don't know if you can see it in that. Yeah, I'm pretty certain that's a solder bridge. Probably couldn't see it earlier, trying to keep in under that 15-minute mark, so I didn't really look too hard. But that is a clear and definite solder bridge. So, alright, this 15-minute was a fail. Or under 15-minute was a fail. If I'd have taken the extra second Turn this temp up. Got a little bit of that plastic, but that's okay. Alright. So on the next one, I'm going to try to get them all right in under 15 minutes. But we found one. We're now going to go through, if I can get this stupid thing lined up. There we go. Alright, we're going to go through and test these. So, we're doing continuity. We want to make sure that only ground, and this is a ground, not ground, not ground, ground, not ground, not ground, ground, not ground, ground, no, not ground, ground, not ground, not ground, not ground, not ground, not ground, and the next should be ground, and then that, and that. And then if we want to, this is where, here, let's spin it this way. Yeah, I think that'll work nice. So you can see it where I tapped there, it made it a little ugly, but it did fix the bridge. It just grabbed just a little bit of that plastic, and we can clean that up here. Alright, so on this, we already know that's ground. And we know that they're not connected because we checked that here. So we're going to check these. Check those. Check those. Check those. And then we'll go side by side. Alright, so we've got no other bridges. So it's just that one. Not bad still, though, for 14 minutes and 16 seconds. Do we still have... I can't tell if that's just a little overhang or if we still have a bit of it. Which pin is that? Okay, that's next to... Okay, so we want to check this one here and that one. Okay, we're not bridged, so we're good there. Looks like a bridge though, doesn't it? It's the same one we were taking it off of earlier. Okay, so there is a little bit of solder that is still like jutted out to the side. It's not making contact, but because solder can get whiskers, we want to clean that up. And if you don't know what whiskers are, you can look it up online, solder whiskers. Google will tell you. Show you some nice little pictures. Solder whiskers basically just mean that, I guess the solder kind of, over time, it's almost think like the sugar rock crystals and how they grow, or just a crystal in general. So kind of a, I think that's just black plastic. They got kind of mushed down in there. I don't even think it's solder now. Yeah, that's just black plastic. Okay, so we're fine. Let's check it. One last time just to make sure. start from here and go side by side. Alright, so all of those are good. That one is done. Now I'm just going to clean up that edge. Takes care of that. Oh, there's just nothing interfering. When we go to drop it off, oh, and on the bottom side we got a little bit of cleanup as well. So there we go. And then all we're going to do for this is just, I'm going to tidy it up. And then here, and this is from when I put the hot air on it. When it finally starts to get that heat all the way through the board, it just spreads it out. And this is what I need my Metcal back up and running for, because it is really good at dealing with these. Even without the added hot air, it can distribute that heat all the way down through that pin and get it on both sides. And again, I still haven't looked up that term because I don't know why, but it just evades me. I can't think of it, but it's using a frequency generator, and I guess it's heat through vibration, but it heats that. Okay, this is going to take flux, so this is being a pain. It's just too hard to get heat down into that spot. But that's how it goes when you're dealing with multi-layer boards. And I am going to blast this with a little extra heat. And watch what happens. Well, if we can get it to go. There we go. Still doesn't want to take there, does it? There. So that is that on that one. I've got the next one to see if I can actually pull one off in under 15 without leaving a bridge pin. So this next one, I'm going to try to finish it fast enough to leave myself a little bit of extra time to clean and check those pins. Because I think I missed it last time because there was just too much flux down in there. Throw that away. All right, so Mr. Lee, yours is now complete. Alright, I need to find the... Now, if you're sending me a board, do me a favor and remove this stuff from the top. I mean, it doesn't take me long to clean, but sometimes I just don't even think about it or notice it, and it ends up getting on me or on something else that it shouldn't. It just makes for extra cleanup. Alright, this is Williams. I don't know if you can see this, but if you notice, anytime that I do not remove the battery, and technically, yes, you should, and in fact, on this unit, it may be okay to do it. But there are actually PlayStations where, in order to remove this, you would either have to desolder it, or you would have to break it. I have done hundreds of these and not removed this, and it never creates an issue. This one simply pops in and out. So I've gotten into the habit of not doing it because there are models of this where, and it may just be that when this was previously worked on, it was broken off, and I think that's probably the case because this might be, yeah, this is definitely one of the models that locks in. So there's these retaining walls here where this holds the battery down. Okay? And technically, without that, it should be able to pop out, but this seems to have enough of a catch. So maybe you can just cut these. But I've done so many repairs for just HDMI. Now, if it goes deeper, if I start working on this side of the board or dealing with the USB, I'm going to take this out. If I was doing work on the NOR chip, I would take this out. So HDMI, for whatever reason, any of the work I do on that side of the board, it hasn't caused an issue if I leave that battery in. So if you are doing a repair and you've forgotten to take it out, don't sweat it. If you're just doing the HDMI, you're not going to find that you've made any trouble for yourself. Now, don't hold me to that if it does cause a problem, because, like I said, it's just never caused a problem for me. You may have a different case. Anyone that has actually had a failure due to that, or believes their failure is due to that, feel free to write it in the comments. Let me know. I'm curious to see if anyone's ever ran into an issue from it. So we're going to now clear this timeout, and we're going to start a new one. All I did there was just put some flux in. Let's get this lined up. And pull the hot air back out. Oh, I hit the switch on it. And it doesn't matter how messy we get with this, because remember, this is just for taking it off. Also, we want to make sure we get these pins nice and saturated with some good fresh flux. Now we're going to turn this over. I should probably remove this. I'm sitting here holding on to all this stuff and trying to flip the board. Not a good idea. Alright, and then there we go. Apply a little flux to this side. solder. And our hot air back out. Cycling through our temps. We're only at 3 minutes. And now to avoid airflow onto this piece, otherwise it'll melt that plastic, we're going to point it in this direction. You couldn't really see that, but that piece of plastic. And they're getting loose. And I think it just fell out. Yes, it did. All right. All right, all our pads are intact. So now we're going to desolder. Apply a little fresh flux. And I'm doing this from the back side to make it a little less likely to want to knock out any components, which would require more time and mess with our speed run. And we're just wicking that away so that we can put good fresh solder down in its place. But first, we want to clean. And notice how this is much faster to clean than the last one, and that's because it doesn't have old flux that it's got dirt, gunk, and whatever else cooked up inside of it. That's good enough because we're going to be applying more. Tip out, put a little flux down. And you're in view. Get a nice fresh coat of solder there. And pull us a new HDMI. This little height so that we're not pushing into the table there. Even taking out time to adjust the camera. It might be being a little overly cocky because we cut it quite close last time. Alright. So I ended up getting those two on the end tacked in nice. Alright. Now, back on our little angle tip so that we can direct airflow to just where we want it. Little flux. Get it on that side because we know we're going to need it. And we're going to do a quick flip. Get the underbelly. Getting the camera lined up. There we go. A little flux on the underside. We're at the 10-minute mark, so we're getting close. I can't remember if we were this far along at that time or further. As long as we don't have any bridge connections. I think we're going to do all right for timing. Alright, making sure that I'm in view of the camera. And oh crap, we got 11 minutes. So I've got time. So I was about to call it. So I might have gotten this one done even faster. As long as we're not off center. I see there's a little bit of a tilt to this HDMI. But is it enough that it would cause a bridge? Because never are they perfectly square. It's not even possible for these little laser guided machines to get them that perfect. Because they're going to float around when you're trying to solder and put them where they're supposed to be. Alright, I think I'm confident that this made the time frame and that there are no additional issues with it. So I'm calling it. Now let's see if I called it prematurely, or if I have a 12-minute and 51-second HDMI replace. Again, continuity mode. Let's make sure those are tight. It really doesn't matter, positive, negative, which one I do. I'm just trying to do continuity. So one, that's a ground, that's fine. That's good. We should get no signal there. We should get signal here, that's ground, no signal. No signal, ground. No signal, no signal, ground. No signal, no signal, no signal, no signal, no signal, ground. There, and there. We are good. Okay, so that does the first part of the check. Now we need the second part of the check. And again, this is just for the HDMI replace. There could be some other things going on that haven't been addressed. But I just wanted to show that HDMI replace can be done quickly and properly, because I think one of my previous videos, which shows I think a few other things that we did, like trace lines and other stuff, but it was 3 hours long, and I didn't want people to have the sense that it takes 3 hours to do an HDMI replacement. Now, if you're doing this with, don't want to offend people, but Mickey Mouse equipment, and when I use that phrase, I mean, you know, you bought the stuff, whoops, you couldn't even see any of that. Okay, you bought the stuff at the dollar store, and not really, but it's, you know, it's the cheap knockoff stuff from overseas that just never really works that well and claims to be the best that there ever was invented, but yet it's using 50-year-old technology. You're not going to get good results. And having good equipment doesn't mean it has to be expensive. Now, a lot of the equipment in the soldering industry, I mean, this world is treated like medical equipment. They rather sell fewer units for more dollars than sell more units at a lower price, because I know that some of the stuff I've spent way too much money on has cost them probably nothing to make. But as far as these contacts go, all of these are perfect. We're going to check their bonding now. But they are solidly bonded. There are no bridges. It looks like we got a little bit of a skew here, where this side is slightly lower than this side, but it's marginal. It's not enough to actually make a difference. Two things you want to have is you want to be as square as possible without being OCD about it, and then you want to be flush, because as you saw earlier, I was pressing down on this. You have to kind of feel and wait for this, like, this center level, and it would be easier to do that if I strip these bare, but what I've found is that it sometimes makes it hard to get the join. So having that bed of solder already there helps to kind of assist in that. But that is done. That's as good as it needs to be, and that will hold. That will last. Well, I would say it would last a lifetime, except people like to take their HDMI ports and shove them in, and then just to make sure, for good measure, they give them a wiggle. Or if they get the faintest bit of something not working right, they go to the PlayStation and they take it and they grab it and they wiggle it around when maybe it was your TV's HDMI port that was the issue. It wasn't this. The other reason that we see that these break is you want to take your game system over to your friend's house. You're going to do a little LAN setup and have some fun in a multiplayer. I like to do this every now and then with my friends when we get on a Monster Hunter binge. However, there's a way to remove your HDMI, and that is to pull it straight back. Move your console, get to where you can see the HDMI port, and pull straight back. Because if you reach around, this is not the situation where you want reach arounds. But if you reach around to that HDMI through a cabinet, and wherever you have it stuck, and you pull on that with your arm around the backside like you've got your PlayStation in a chokehold, and you pull that HDMI, you're not going to pull it straight. You're going to pull it to the left or to the right, depending on which arm you're grabbing it from. And when you pull it at an angle, you don't notice it, but you're not pulling straight. You're pulling like this. You're pulling diagonally. And when you do that, it takes this and it bends it. Okay, this is not titanium. It is probably cheap steel. It's thin gauge. It will bend. It will break. The one thing that I will give Sony credit for is if you get shorts and these wires heat up, it's going to debond those pins. But usually, old school and cheap electronics, if you pop this off, you'd probably snatch some of those pins with it. But I've seen, and as you saw from the one before this, the whole innards of that HDMI was gone. Just missing. But all of those contact points were still on the pad. I don't know what allows that to happen, but I guess to some extent they've built it sturdy. Just to err is to human, and we are not easy on our electronics. So if you want to save yourself some grief, if you want to save yourself the cost of an HDMI repair, turn your machine off, look to where you can see the HDMI port, and then pull straight back. You should never damage your HDMI if you do it like that every single time. But as far as this goes, it's done. Let's go ahead and give it a once over. The parts are missing, nothing's knocked off, everything is good. I've got to test these components before I send it back. In fact, we can go ahead. We can do that now. Last little check that we do is these. And there's a bunch of checks you can do. But these are the only ones that are necessary, because if it doesn't work after this, then you're going to take it off. You're going to go to the backside and you're going to remove that little heat shield, and you're going to start working in that area. If that doesn't fix our issue, then you're going to start looking in this area. And we are good. Nothing on those indicates that they have an issue. So, 2 repairs, and now because we actually took this one out, we can now put it back in. And I was talking about the battery. We have 2 HDMI repairs completed. One was done in just under 15 minutes, but had a bridge pin. Second time around, we got even better, even with it having this, which why one went faster than the other, who knows, especially the one, let's call it getting warmed up. 12 minutes, 51 seconds, completely removed and replaced the HDMI port. If you have an HDMI issue with your PlayStation, or if you have any other troubles with it, whether you're unable to get signal, I just had a gentleman contact me earlier that was having problems where it said disk drive undetected or not detected. I forget what the exact phrase is, but his problem is it's unable to access the drive. That could be the disk drive itself. It could be, if you see in the picture, this little port that the drive plugs into. It could be the circuitry behind that. No matter what your issue is, if you're having a problem, shoot a text. You can find our contact information on PlayStation Repair Augusta. The text is always recommended. If you make a phone call, it probably will not get answered right away. That message will get checked, and eventually it'll get back to you. That may not even be the same day, but if you want a same-day response, usually within minutes, shoot a text. The reason why is because if I, myself, or anyone else is in the middle of a solder repair, we're not going to pick up the phone. I have done this in the past, and this is how I explain it to people, is that if a person is soldering, they should be doing that and nothing else. If we're answering the phone, we're going to either break something or break ourselves, and more often than not, it's breaking yourself. I have the scars to prove it from where I've tried answering a phone with a soldering iron or a hot air gun, and I have done everything from stabbing myself with a soldering iron to laying a 450 degrees Celsius hot air, the tube. In fact, I will show this. This little nifty guy here. Where is it? This whole side here slapped the side of my wrist. The good thing is that it's so hot at that temperature that you don't really feel the burn, even after the fact. I mean, it might sting a little, but it's not, I guess it singes nerves, because it's not like tapping the stove. That hurts. That hurts for a long time. This hurt for like 30 seconds, and then it blistered like crazy, but did not hurt again. So I guess that's the only upside to it, is if you burn yourself at a hot enough temperature, you don't have to worry about the pain for too long. But that is why text is recommended. You can send a text message. It's there. It's exactly what needs to be said. And it doesn't have to be answered right away. When I finish what I'm doing, I can go back and I can look at that text message. I can see it in its entirety, and I can respond to you. And then I can go back to working on the next person's project. And if you have a response, when I get a pause or I'm finished with that, I can go back and check that text message again. If you're operating a small repair facility, I recommend using that same protocol for yourself. Move to text messaging, or if you got a chat engine, answering the phone if all of your texts are working on top of each other. That's the best way to go about it. And I know customers still like calling and having that direct, but if a call is necessary, it can be made. If a text gets the job done, it's more efficient for the customer and it's more efficient for the worker. So my recommendation, at least, is use text in a repair tech field. Let it go to the phone and then answer it as you're able to. Other than that, I think that really does it for today. Like I said, and like always, I've got tons of cleanup to do. Getting geared up for the new desk. I'm still waiting for the manufacturer to send me the final mock-up. I'm trying to turn my temp off here. Once I get that final mock-up, it will probably be looking like July, third week of July. It will get ordered, and I think it takes them about a week or two. So we're looking at somewhere between end of July and August. And once that new desk is, I'll have an assembly video. I will do a walkthrough of it, because I think this is going to be a game changer for organization, for me at least. And if anyone else benefits from it, they can certainly feel free to copy that design. I think it'll be an interesting video to show that desk from bits and pieces all the way to its assembly and then its functional use and how it changes. Other than that, that's it for today. This has been another PlayStation Repair Augusta video. If, again, you have a PlayStation that needs any type of repair, feel free to contact us. You can go to the website where you can submit a ticket, or you can use the phone number that is listed on that site to send a text, as I have just previously explained. Take care and have a great weekend. It is Memorial Holiday coming up, so everyone enjoy that, and the next video will come shortly.